Hey, welcome to the lab, folks. I'm Jam at Peaceful Media. Thanks for joining me. I see a few of you in here live. Go ahead and announce yourselves, say what's up. And if you have any questions about today's topic, which is how to design your course curriculum. So as you know, the season's all about watching us behind the scenes launch our course, Launch 31. And so I'm going to show you, again, if you weren't on the last episode, I'm going to show you that process of how I honed in on my positioning and my market research, my survey. I talked about that last week, and then I showed you a few episodes ago about how that turned into a curriculum. Actually, I didn't go too deep into the curriculum development, but I think, let's see. I didn't even show you that. That's good. Okay, so I just showed you a bunch of stuff. If you're okay, you're gonna look at my screen here in a second. Here, let's go check out the screen. Dr. Carrie Rose is going to be joining us in a bit. Hey, Alonga, nice to see you. Welcome to the Freedom Lab. All right, cool. Glad you're here. Alonga was in our 2014 December event with Brendan Burchard called Elevate Your Brand. And she launched a site. She's a brilliant poet and artist living, gosh, in, I can't keep track of her actually. She's always in a different country. She has a beautiful husband to Ernie, who's an architect. Love you, Ilanga. Love you guys. So in today's episode, hopefully we'll get Dr. Carrie Rose in here. She is having some tech issues. I guess there's a company in her house redoing the kitchen, so it's a little bit too loud. So she's trying to get situated with some more, some better sound for us. But she's, I'll just introduce her briefly while I share my screen. Let's check this out. Okay, I know it's going to do a little. So this is Dr. Carrie Rose's course. Let me take you back to the homepage that I signed up for after doing Launch 31. It's called Course Creators Method. And this is after I watched her on a webinar teaching some of her frameworks and ahas from working with many well-known online thought leaders and people who have launched courses, books. She's brilliant at helping shape big ideas down into teachable episodes. Let's just call that. Creating frameworks. I remember working early in my days of Peaceful Media. I remember working with a dating coach, a life coach, who had this distinct, I just noticed this distinct advantage when it came to, let me switch you back over here so I can look you in the eye. Ooh. Okay. Who had this distinct advantage across every one of our other life coaching or coaching clients who we're building brands for, because she had this master's in education. She knew how to get a teaching point across, how to create a real transformation. She knew how to educate and edify people in ways that most thought leaders who were trying to build online brands just didn't have. And so when we'd be working with people and we say, okay, we're ready for your content, or we're ready to put your online course out, I was kind of spoiled as like, that's easy, right? But that was because I was tainted, positively tainted by someone who actually knew how to quickly, rapidly create that education curriculum. And so I watched her skyrocket while others floundered in the life coaching space. And I'm pairing that with something I asked Brendan, like, because you watch Brendan behind the scenes. He comes in to shoot the Charge podcast and his YouTube show. He comes in with, I'm telling you, no more than this right here. That's his outline for 8 videos. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but at least 4 to 5, 6 videos. And that's his outline. Puts this down. He gets his topic for number 1. Okay, cool. And goes off and rattles off 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, rattles off a brilliant teaching point. like something that someone can go and apply right now and right away. And it's so articulate. I was just like, afterwards, I was like, Brennan, how do you do that, man? How are you doing that? Like, and he said, I studied adult learning theory. So one of the first things I did while we're waiting for Dr. Carrie, hopefully she joins us, it was, see if there's anything in my text. When I started writing my outline, let me share my screen again with you. By the way, while I'm doing this, in the chat, if you're joining us live, in the chat, will you announce what you're hoping to create in an online course, what you're launching? It'd be good for me to help you churn up some questions for where you're at in your curriculum development. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again with you. And let's hop into what I posted here in the Freedom Lab Show Facebook group. Just search for Freedom Lab Show and you should be able to find it. Ask for an invitation in. You'll notice I started with, okay, well, if I'm gonna create a blockbuster course, I better go learn how to be a teacher. I know how to market, I know how to put things online, but I don't know exactly how to teach. So these I learned a lot and a little bit of Googling, and Dr. Carrie Rose will teach us some more. But this was something that definitely influenced how I put together the Launch 31 expert website blueprint. Keyword blueprint. Watch what I learned. So orientation to learning is critical. Explains why this course and when it will be applicable. Why do they need to acquire specific info? Is it immediately applicable to me and my business? For adults especially, we want a resonant yes there. Solve here and now problems. What is the motivation to learn this? You're seeing a thread here. Tie everything we teach to real world benefits and applications. And eventually we'll want each training video in the course to be prepared with a tutorial as simple to follow as this blog post. So I found some examples of people out there teaching very, very tactical stuff online. This was an example. You can click over to see that. Very, very tactical stuff, but attached it to a why. And what I see in the marketplace is a lot of people teaching why really well, but then solving the here and now problems and tying it to real world benefits and applications is very much missing. And that's where I wanted to be, is, as you know, like I'm trying to be a bridge between the gap of strategy and tactical implementation. And so I wanted that course really shaped around that hope and that promise, you know, that I'm going to teach you why you do these things, but then we're going to get really deep down into the weeds and you're going to watch me implement it so that you can implement the same thing in your website, on your brand. Okay. So that was a big influence for me. Then I took this course with Dr. Carrie.
Hi.
Awesome course. Oh, there you are. I was just talking about you.
How are you?
Let me get you on screen. There you are.
Perfect timing. I'm so sorry. As quiet as I could. I had to drive until I found Wi-Fi, no cell service.
So you're like, you like drove off somewhere into the woods and found Wi-Fi?
No. I drove to McAllister's. I had to drive for like a few minutes.
Oh my God. Well, you showed up in perfect time because I was just showing your course creator method.
Excellent.
Course.
Thank you, Jam.
I think I teed you up, but do you want to just share like your background a little bit? Because there's a lot of people out there faking their way to teaching what you teach, but you've actually done your research.
Oh, thank you. You know, I think everyone comes at it with different perspectives. I'll say it that way. And, you know, we all have our ways of research. But from my background personally, I became obsessed with teaching strategies. It really just started, my background, my history is just that I couldn't read and had selective mutism until I was 10. So it really struck me that in 1 year, one teacher made such a difference for me that I was able to, by the end of the school year, be the highest test scores that school had seen, and then tested in the gifted. And now I've earned a doctorate in educational leadership, and wrote my dissertation on professional development just out of that obsession. It's like, what can one person do to make such a huge impact, whereas others did not, right? So that clearly there's a difference between what was going on in each of those classrooms. And there's also a difference between what we think is an effective strategy and what is. I think what we tend to do is teach how we were taught. But if you look how education systems are set up, it's more about, I hate to say it, but it's more about control than expansion, And so what we need to do is really shift that into what can really bring about the greatest amount of change and greatest impact on a person. And that starts with examining the strategies that work. So the strategies that I've put together in that course that you've taken are based on hundreds of research studies as to what is actually effective. So when I look at something and determine if it's effective, I'm looking at hardcore statistical analysis, two-tailed tests. How many times did they run the test? How many tests were there on the one strategy before I say, yep, that one?
Yeah.
That's what's in there.
So what are so people are out there creating curriculum. David signed in here. He says, I'm looking to put 22 systems, tools, and strategies I help install into small businesses as online training, so my coaching sessions can be focused on moving the needle instead of training. So become more of a consultant than a trainer / teacher. Brilliant idea, David. That's exactly why you'd want to create a course. So what are some things that people can do when they have these 22 systems, and that's about all? In my case, I was like, I have 31 days to get a site launched with people.
Right.
Okay, let me just start, barfing onto a table, an outline, and see what I can make of this. And that was so laborious. Is there a way to cut down on the time it takes with some simple little principles or theories of course creation that people can use?
Cut down on the time that it takes to create the course itself?
Not so much the course. Like I consider it two pieces. Like one is planning, getting your outline, figuring out how you're going to create the transformation. The other piece is actually the production of it.
Right.
Oh, and then of course I'm leaving something critical out, but we already talked about it in this season, which is the market research, which by the way, Dr. Carrie also teaches how to do proper market research in her course too. So it's awesome course.
Thank you. I'm actually doing a series of interviews, which you've been a part of, and I'm learning even more. It's been so expansive as far as my knowledge is concerned in course creation, and I'm going, ooh, what can I tweak? What can I develop? Even based on those conversations. So, if I was going to make this as easy as possible of a process, like easy as possible, I would take a lot of things out of it. Just trimming this down. I would, of course, start with the market research. Like every conversation that I have goes back to that. Every conversation with every course creator, it is know your market. I would go the route of, there's two different camps. There's the audience building camp, and there's the product creation camp. And what I mean by that is there's two thoughts. There's one thought of you build the audience and then you ask the audience what you want them to create. And then there's the other that's more like, you create the bus and then the audience becomes the fuel to fuel the bus forward. So you have to have the products in place first. If I was going to go the fastest route towards dollars, I would do the bus route. I would create the products based on the research and not build the audience first. So just trying to trimline time. Okay,
can you re-say that again?
Yeah, sure. So
I'm taking notes here too.
It's okay, because I've been hearing more and more lately about audience building and how it affects products, right? And build your audience, and ask your audience. But that can take a substantial amount of time. And even at that point, you're still trying to create something that your audience likes. And many have found that they survey them and create something for them, and it's still not what they wanted. So, right? But
Interesting.
there's another camp.
Okay. That would not be my camp, I am assuming.
There's another camp that creates it, does the proper market research first. That's not a step you leave out, right? But based on what's already selling. So doing the market research, looking at yourself, finding where you are, where those two can combine, right? Between what the market wants and what you can provide, creating that, and then targeting the advertisement to sell that. And then building the audience from there, from the happy customers that are already paying you. If I were going to do it the fastest route, I would do that, because it can take over a year to build a proper audience. Like, that's substantial, right? Okay. Without paid advertisement or anything. So if I were going to go fast.
That's why, so as you know, Carrie, we're working with people who've been in this for decades, and then people who are just starting. So I think you've sort of identified or named those two different types, or people, or clients, basically.
Right.
The beginners, and the people, and the big shots, or / boot campers or bootstrappers.
Yeah. Right.
And the people who've been doing a lot of sales calls or prospecting or out there networking and actually working one-on-one with their clients, I've found, as you know, they crush it. They know the words out of their audience's mouth. Their people have been asking them for so long for something along the lines of what you're thinking to put down on paper or put down in a video course.
Right.
And then there's the people who are just like, I want an online course. I don't know what the hell I'm teaching. I don't know what my clients are. Like, that's the other camp. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think I've seen the ones that are crushing it in both. Honestly, I've seen the ones that are developed in both. But as far as if I looked at which is faster, I'd go the non-blogger route. You know, the route that's the fastest way to cash. The other part of it is, what I'm seeing is that there's some incohesiveness between copy and the course itself. That seems to be a factor in whether or not people complete it. So if I was going to look at this, I'm kind of trying to reverse engineer. I know you're talking to me about the outline, but I'm going to get us there, right? So if I was going to do the market research and discover the pain points, right? If you could narrow down the 5 pain points and the five hopes and dreams that these people are going to want, as my friend TJ always said, to get from Sexville to Awesome Town. Right. So if you're trying to get them on that bus, what 5 things are going to get them from Sexville to Awesome Town based on the market research? I would then take the time to define the copy around those 5 things first. What does that look like?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then you're creating the outline based on what the copy is. It's going to sell the product that you're in the creation of. Okay. Now, one of the things that came out of actually my call with TJ, that's why I'm so pumped, that was 2 days ago, was also to create it after it's being sold, while you're giving it. Okay. And this sounds like a little different than what's normally done, but the problem is that most people and this is what I found, even with clients I work one-on-one with, a lot of people that go into course creation never finish creating their course. If I said to you, how long does you think it's going to take you to create a course, what would you come back to me with?
I'd say 3 months for something like Launch 31, which you've been through.
Right. Well, what could we do to get it to be a month and a half?
Get really comfortable with 5 out of 10. I think it's purely a psychological play. Like, just get okay with average, or get okay with the unknown of I don't know if this is gonna actually deliver.
Right. You know, I see that too. What I heard from this gentleman, Norbert, yesterday, he's one of the founders of My Lead System Pro, which is TJ is the CEO of Elite Marketing Pro. Both are affiliate marketing companies.
Okay.
What Norbert said was that we need to think of courses and products kind of like software companies think of their software. It's never the final version. It's the next version. There is no perfect iPhone. But how do we make it better? One of the things that is so interesting, because the way TJ and I were talking about it, it's like we're trying to move people through a course and offer them more value. But in order to create more value, you can get more feedback from them if they're inside the course while you're building it. So his major suggestion, and I think this may come from, oh gosh, who is it? Somebody you worked with. launch Jeff Walker, maybe?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I haven't gone into his material yet, honestly. So I think this may come from him indirectly. But one of the things that he said was to sell it on the webinar based on the hopes and fears, based on what their dreams are, based on the market research, get them into the webinar and build it with them and sell it on the point that you're building it with them. So each module you come up with is 1 week or each lesson you do, you can use the system I put in place inside the course that you've already looked at to formulate your lessons. But at least when you have to get on and give a lesson to somebody, you have the lesson ready, you allow time for questions, you allow time for building into the next lesson. So you've got engagement, you've got people continuing to get on the call, and you're hurrying yourself up towards completion of a product, and you've already sold it, so you've already made the money on it.
Yeah, that was one of the smartest things I've heard Jeff Walker say, and he said a lot of smart things, is the whole seed launch principle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I heard last night. I was talking to somebody from growth.com last night. We were having like a conversation for 2 hours just geeking out on all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But if I was going to do it, honestly, I would do it that way. I mean, I know I already have a product out, but if I was going to create another product right today, I would do it that way. And I would concern myself more with those 5 major things, those 5 hopes and dreams, and those 5 major pain points, and the copy as creating the outline. From there, it's just about good, solid teaching strategies, right, inside of it. But, really developing it based on the people that you have, I think is going to create the biggest impact. And you've got a product that you're selling,
Right.
Because most people don't finish.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why I like that. So let's recap that a little bit, because so there's some people who are not in the product launch formula world of Jeff Walker. So the concept is that you come up with, this is my understanding, you come up with a 5 or 6 week basic outline, like almost like headline, topic, and then some 2 or 3 bullets of what you're going to teach each week. But you keep it broad enough so that, and also specific enough. So specific enough so that people know, okay, at least I know where we're going with this,
right?
In a general sense, like, okay, they need to have enough to know that it's useful for them and where they're at in their life. And then nebulous enough or abstract enough so that you're able to technically generate more bullets and more teaching pieces. And that's where after each week, so week 1, you're teaching, even before you get to week 1, actually, you're sending them a survey and asking them, what can I show you exactly in these bullets or in this topic? And hopefully you get 5, 10, 20, 2,000 responses, depending on how big your audience is. And you're just going, okay, that fits really well here. Thank you for coming up with the messaging for this. Thank you for describing exactly how you frame the problem and phrase the problem. I can definitely teach you this in this module. This one over here, that fits better over in what I was planning for, lesson number 5.
Well, and if it doesn't fit, then you pull the person one-on-one and say, hey, I saw that you had a question. It doesn't really go with this course, but let me see if I can help you. Do you know what individualized attention would do for somebody? About creating a raving fan, you're giving them exactly what they asked for, even if it doesn't fit, or hey, I don't really cover that, but who does? This person here. Let me connect you,
Right. I saw Shishton just joined us. Awesome friend. She was the first member. I call her customer 00001 of Launch 31. So awesome welcome to the Freedom Lab, Kirsten. Or, not Kirsten. I always get that messed up. Shishton. And I think she would attest. That's exactly how I treated the beta of Launch 31. Is like, more the better, and that's the power of that. Whatever course you do, make sure that you're doing in some sort of Facebook group for that, a private Facebook group just for your members. I mean, there's so much conversation that happens in those that you just don't get in other systems, whether it's comments or whatever. So make sure you add
Sure.
that little nugget. So, okay,
Sure.
seed launch is for everyone, whether
Seed launches for
you're
everyone. It
whether
just
you're a
seems,
big boy or
yeah.
big girl or just getting going.
Well, it seems like it just makes more sense. I mean, really, you're trying to find out if somebody likes something enough to buy it. Well, first of all, let's go back to the syllabus thing, or your point about the outline. I was thinking when you said that, it was kind of like a college syllabus, right? Like if you go in to take a college course, you sit down, they hand you a syllabus, you still have no idea what you're going to learn each day, but it's something around this. Right? So we're not setting unreasonable expectations here. People are already used to that model, but what is different is asking for that feedback and asking for their, creation of it. Actually, feedback does have a lot of statistical data to support it. So I'm just, I think that would be definitely the way to go. But yes, okay, so if we're looking at, if you look at ads.
I was just thinking, I was just trying to imagine college. And it's been a few years, a couple years, only 2 years since college. No. So not just private, but so anyways, I can imagine like a professor saying, okay, we've finished lesson, day 1 of the course. Next week, we have planned on the syllabus to talk about this topic.
Right.
What would be most useful for you?
Right.
Collect all that data, hopefully digitally, so that it's easy to manage and look through and audit and analyze. And then imagine that next class you go into is like, it's so relevant. I love that model. It's just, I was just imagining like college reinvented. Yeah.
Or
with that model.
Care. Yeah.
yeah. It just feels so personalized. And I want to hit that note again, that when you get that digital feedback, that survey, we talked about this on an earlier episode, they have written your marketing copy for the next time you go and launch this.
Right.
Because remember, after you've had the seed launch or the seed course in the can, or the beta course, whatever you want to call it, you're going to go out and remarket it as a package, and probably up the price, add some new bells and whistles and up the price. And as you do that, you're going back to your survey and going, okay, that's how they described that problem. Remember how we talked about how they framed and phrased it? That's just copy and paste almost.
And that copy is so important. I was talking to someone about that yesterday. And one of the things they were saying is that they have bought a product based on copy before and learned more inside the email than they did inside the product and had to return it. And then they have bought a product based on copy twice, meaning they read the copy, bought the product, and then on a different occasion read the copy and bought the product. And so had the product twice and then had to return one, but just based on that copy. So, that can be huge as far as, as far as what your sales can be, but then also it needs to be completely in alignment with your product.
Do you run into any danger? Nah, I don't think you would. I was just thinking about the seed launch model. If you run into any danger of promising something that you ultimately don't deliver, I know that's a big thing for you and me.
Yeah, I know, right? I think, okay, setting realistic expectations. And then also when you're looking at those pain points, understanding whether or not you have those answers. If you're trying to set up a course to tell somebody how to make $1 million online and you haven't made one yet, $1 online, that might be a stretch, right? So you might not be that person. I would never teach a course on how to do an email marketing campaign, right? It's not in my area. So knowing what knowledge you actually have to share or what access to information you have, especially if you're doing something live where they're asking you questions, the wrong question will reveal you real quick.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. So I remember going through some of Jeff Walker's stuff, and it still comes down to that audience problem for a lot of folks. Okay, I don't even have my audience to go and spread the word about a seed launch. let alone a formal in the can product launch.
Right.
So I know this episode is not really all about that, but you know, like, how do you? Well, I don't know. Maybe we could talk about this because you've been launching your course lately.
Yeah.
And so, what are the things you've done to come out of the shadows of all these gurus you've been supporting and lifting up to build your own audience?
Sure.
We'll just diverge.
I haven't done as much as I think I should at this moment in time.
Okay.
To be honest, the shoemaker's daughter still has no shoes. No, like for me, it's like I know what to do as far as a marketing funnel. I know how to run my own traffic on Facebook. I know all of those steps. It's just a matter of I need to do that part, you know, and just put it out and go. It is, for me, the thing that I have been able to do is that I've established really good relationships so far. So like when I did my first launch, I was on Anthony's webinar. So one of my former clients had me on to do a webinar, and then we launched it together. And that's how you and I met. And now you have me here. Yeah. Right, exactly. And then
I offered to join that live webinar and prove that I could lactate as a man.
There you go. And I would have loved to have seen that. But
unfortunately, the technology was not supporting us in that moment.
No, you were having my difficulty this morning. So no, so you know, that's definitely one way to do it. If you don't have access to an audience, there's ways to get involved in different groups on Facebook. That doesn't require any budget whatsoever. But when I say get involved in groups on Facebook, I don't mean just spam them. I mean, you'd have to actually develop conversations, relationships. So then that way, when you post something, it's like, oh, well, my friend posted this and she's cool. And, you know, I like her perspective on whatever it is. So maybe I should listen, you know?
Yeah.
And I was actually talking to somebody the other day. That was a really interesting perspective. I don't think she runs ad traffic, but what she does is she doesn't use her Facebook fan page. She uses her Facebook personal page, because that's where she's created the actual relationships. And what you'll find is the online course creation community, it seems like we're all already friends. You know, the people that are buying products and creating products, we end up buying from each other a lot of the time. And we're all connected. So if you really start making friends with people that are your target demographic, you can sell to them from your page in a way that isn't salesy, but offering, you know, when you offer a webinar, I'm giving this information, come listen.
Yeah, I kind of like that in social. Yeah, I'm not the social strategist here at Peaceful Media, but in social, I noticed myself gravitating to the people who use that to not give you a link to go opt into something. You're talking about the personal venue,
right?
Not a link to go opt into something. That's like so impersonal and so strange. But we all have direct message and private message tools in these social media venues. So I like the people who say DM me or direct message me if you're interested in more resources on this. I mean, then it's like, okay, let's open up the conversation, personalize it a little bit, and then say, oh, it sounds like you'd love this ebook I put together here. I'll give it to you for free.
Right.
You know?
And then what if I post when I get off the call, hey, just had a great webinar with Jam.
Yep.
What's going to happen from that? One of my friends is going to go, oh, where's the link? Oh, here, link, done. Yeah. I haven't done anything.
Right.
I haven't done anything except for said honestly what I was excited about.
Okay. Yeah, I do. So David, let's help David out here.
Okay, David.
He's got those 22 systems and tools and strategies. So your recommendation, based on everything you're learning as you research this book and everything you've learned in the past, is to go and let's just say that's 22 modules of an outline, or would you break it down into chunks?
Oh, wow. Now, if I'm looking at that, is there any way to segment it into different courses? I mean, I'm asking for David to answer kind of in a way, because I don't know his content, and I don't know when you say 22 systems, it could be 22 systems that would only take me 1 minute to describe each one, in which case I'd say, sure, okay, go for it. But if it's something where it's really in depth, if there's a way to segment it out so that so many systems solve one problem, maybe like for one problem and for another problem and for whatever, until you hit the 22 mark. I think that would be better from a sales perspective and from a content perspective. And I mean that in a couple of different ways. Well, like you can make money off of each course. You could use one of the mini courses as a lead magnet, one of them as a tripwire, and then one of them as your main. You could bundle them all together and charge less and make people think that they're getting, this amazing value for only whatever, off of it because they bought the bundle, right? So there's a lot of different ways to do it if you could just segment those 22, into different things. The other side of it
let me translate really quickly, because we do have some beginners. Tripwire, lead magnet.
Sorry.
Carrie's been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
So lead magnet would be, they get your first course for just an email, for an email exchange for an email. They go through that course. They go, wow, it did exactly what he promised. That was great. And then a tripwire would be, you're asking for a small investment, typically like less than $30, if not less than 10. And now you've turned a lead into a customer, which is extremely valuable for so many reasons. And then the next step is, okay, you've had a free experience, you got great value, you've had a super value when you paid money to me. How about we go to that next level? Here's my $197, $497, $997, $1,997, etc.
All the money.
Yeah. So David, I don't know if you're still with us, but if you can break that down a little bit for us, maybe we can help you here. But I like that. I mean, 22 systems sounds like a course no one wants to join. That sounds like a PhD in whatever you're teaching, David. So I see 22 different courses. Or if they are micro, then build a framework of, rather than 22 systems, I would say a 22-step challenge or 22-day challenge, and take people to an endpoint that we can all imagine. Right.
I concur.
Here's another thing that's helped me a lot, and this is from Lisa Sasevich. I like her simple problem solution pattern, where if you're thinking about, well, what could I use as my lead gen or my tripwire? You're basically thinking of that as, we're gonna solve that one problem, but what that's done is it's shown you that there's a new problem in your journey to the peak, to the mountaintop, right? Okay. And then until you solve that one problem, you wouldn't have the next problem. So let me give you an example. So the way I'm thinking about, the way I'm doing, you can critique this, Carrie, this relaunch of Launch 31 is, okay, so I'm solving the problem of, you finally have your marketing website done. Well, the problem before that I sort of addressed in Launch 31, but not to the extent I want to, and it's certainly not at the cheap level, is to come up with great sizzling marketing messaging and copy. And so I'd love to create a whole course around each of the 11 pages I think all thought leaders need to have on their website. However, I was like, I need to get this going. So what I'm going to do is break it down to just your homepage. And I call it the 7-star homepage blueprint. And we go through like what I talked about at Renew You, the 7 elements you need to have to be persuasive and helpful to your first-time visitors on your website. I'm considering that being either a strict lead magnet, so email only, and it's a short little 7-part course. I think someone could complete it in a day. And then so now that I have my homepage written, and you've watched me implement that on a homepage, I've exposed that there's 2 things. One, get this on my website. And what about all of the other 10 pages Jam says I need to have? Okay,
Right.
so I've exposed that new problem, and I'll give you a solution for that as well.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
So first
It makes a
problem
lot of
was
sense.
I don't know how to come up with great sizzling messaging and copy for my homepage. Wow, you're making that easy for me. Perfect. So we solved that.
Right.
Now I have that all written down and ready to put it on my website. Oh shit, I don't know how to do that. You know,
How do we do that?
either I don't have a website, or
Right.
the way you're showing me how you're doing it, Jam, is that looks really easy.
Yeah.
And then so that's the new problem, how to easily create the whole website, a marketing website. I have a solution for that too.
You really do. Can I just like give you a little props for a minute here? That course, I've gone through some of Launch 31, and I can say it's just an amazing course as far as like taking somebody from no knowledge whatsoever like myself, and then, you know, how to build out the website and put everything in it. It's a fabulous course. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. That's a proud moment when a daddy can look at his little baby and say, you did it. You did it.
But you did it well. You did it well, and you did it thoughtfully, and you did it with, you know, caring for where everyone else is at, you know, when they come to you. It's a little tough starting out, or daunting, when you first come into the online space and seeing what everyone else is doing. And like you just said, like lead magnet, tripwire, you know, main product, whatever, like it becomes much to learn. And I think that you've broken it down with such complete understanding for where everybody's entering, you know, and for anybody that has any, you know, considers themselves technologically challenged like myself. I'm like, oh, how do you do this? And I just, you know, sat down and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. You know?
Good.
Okay,
Good. That's what we were going for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone wants to model that, do you like that approach then?
Do I like the approach that you're just talking about, the Lisa Sasevich? Definitely.
Okay.
I think that's very wise. I'd say the only thing to add in there also is just combining something I got from Digital Marketer at Traffic and Conversion Summit, as when you're looking for you know, your offerings, you don't have to get your ROI necessarily in email addresses. You can get your return on having people be pixelated from your website. So to break it down again, what you want to do is you can offer something that doesn't necessarily require the email exchange, but just offer it. And without saying anything or asking for anything, having something that can be offered that when they visit your website, they have a tracking code from Facebook, so that every time they're on Facebook thereafter, if you run an advertisement to them, they're like, oh, there's that guy's face again, you know, just because they visited the one thing and didn't have to offer an exchange. And there's something that, you know, if you look at, gosh, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. There's a book that I read a long time ago, but basically the law of reciprocation. You know, if you give something to somebody and don't ask for anything.
Brilliant book. Robert Cialdini.
Thank you. Influence. Yes.
Yeah, influence. Yeah.
You know, it's like why they give you those little tasters at the grocery store. You go to Sam's, you leave with everything, you know? So if you give them something and ask for nothing, it does more to them psychologically than asking for their email. They give you their email, they're complete. Yep. I've given you this, I'm done. So.
Yep, that's the law of reciprocity is more powerful than we give it credit. And a lot of people give it credit. So okay, so we'll get into retargeting actually in future episodes. In future episodes, I'll show you exactly how we're going into pixelate our pages, our launch pages, so that we're able to come back to them with ads wherever they go on the web, which is sneaky and creepy, but very, very, very effective.
Just think of it like Oprah. It's like you get a cookie, you get a cookie, you get a cookie. Yeah. You know, you're giving them all presents. Right.
Okay, so I think this is a brilliant episode. I want to invite people to join Dr. Carrie and I for a webinar we're going to do in the future, near future, right?
Near future, yes. I just want to do more research first because I want to give you even more.
Oh my gosh, it's so helpful. We didn't even get into some of the structure of the modules that you taught, the cognitive rigor pieces, how to just get these things to land in people's minds, and actually, like, not just land, but form a little seed and a little plant and grow within them, versus like go in the ear and out the other one. You have all of the little techniques and tactics for doing that, and it's, you know, our spirit here at Peaceful Media is to like actually like make a difference, right? Make a positive difference. So if you're trying to do the same thing with your online course, then you gotta learn how to get this stuff embedded in people's brains. And I look around and most people are not doing it effectively. So Dr. Carrie Rose, your course is brilliant. Everyone needs to take it.
Thank you.
And people can just go to peacefulmedia.com/blockbuster-course. peacefulmedia.com/blockbuster-course. I need to look at the time so I can post a link to this. Okay, on the YouTube. So you guys can go check that out. It'll be just a free webinar where you get to hear Dr. Carrie Rose go into more of how to teach effectively online.
Yes.
You want to say anything about that?
Awesome. No, I'm just excited about it. I'm excited. So just a little bit before we hang up, because I know we're going to hang up, but the more questions that you can ask with a why or a how instead of a what, the better your people are going to respond and learn from you. So just to give that before we
Wait, say that. Go ahead and say that again. I'm going to post a link to this in the live chat. Blockbuster course. Okay.
The more questions that you can ask that start with a how or a why will get people to think. So if you say what, like if I say, what are the 5 things that, you know, make this table stand, whatever it is, right? Then you're going to tell me the 5 things I just told you, which is regurgitation, which is actually not learning. But if I say, well, how does this table stand on its own? And you can describe that to me, there's thought. If I can say, why is there a table?
So that's really powerful. So think about my headline for how I would market the 7-star homepage blueprint, rather than what are the 7 elements you need on your homepage?
Now, I would say for marketing, stay with what? For teaching, how and why. Okay? Because I don't want you to confuse them on marketing. A confused mind says no. I think there's some balance between the two, right? That's what I'm really finding. It's marketing and teaching is what, you know, makes this world happen. So, yeah.
Cool. Well,
all right, cool.
I hope everyone's gotten great value from Dr. Carrie Rose. Thank you so much for winding your way around Florida to find some Wi-Fi for us.
North Carolina, yeah. Oh, North Carolina, Florida, I could have found it easy. Orlando, what?
And and bless those kitchen remodelers when you get home.
Oh my gosh.
And LaShawn for hustling to make it happen. So.
Thank you. So sorry I ended up coming on late, but thank you so much for letting me still come on, because I appreciate being a part of this process and serving your audience. So
heck yeah.
Thank you.
We love you. All right. Talk soon.
Love you too. Okay. Bye.
All right, everyone. That was a great episode. I hope it helps you create your online course curriculum and think about, we actually started getting into building audience and also how to actually build a little funnel for your course. So definitely diverge, but I know it'll be really helpful for you, especially if you're at that stage of like, I have all these ideas in my head. I've been training this stuff for too long. I need to put this on tape. I know that's a lot of you that are listening right now. So hopefully that helps. And until I see you next time in the Freedom Lab, remember you can check us out on peacefulmedia.com, freedomlabshow.com if you want to register for the live experience of this. And the Facebook group is Freedom Lab Show. You can just find it by searching on Facebook. Until I see you next time, remember to love more, play more, do more good. I love you. Peace.